Okay, so just to introduce myself, I'm working with SCPRAC to design and develop the prototype of this badge. And I've worked with the Barcelona team on multiple projects. So this is me, hello. I'm going to share my screen now and just talk you through quite a top level an introduction to what we're thinking and what we're aiming to do with the badge. So bear with me while I share my screen. Okay. So the point of today's session is that I'll start with why we're designing this badge, what the objectives are. Giorgio touched on a few of them in his introduction. At a very top level, I just want to sketch at this point in the design process what we're thinking it will be and look like and the process behind gaining the badge. Really importantly, this is one of our first touch points for input. We want it to be a tool for the sector and to offer value to the BSOs who are involved. And so designing this collaboratively is incredibly important. So we have a very short, I promise, 5-minute survey for you to fill in. And really importantly, at the end, a chance to ask questions or to give comments, any initial feedback at all. And I will try my very best to answer those questions at this stage in the process. So, to begin. Why are we doing this? Well, the box on the left outlines the bigger picture really and shows us what we already know, that the sustainable business support sector is growing and therefore the sustainable business support sector is growing. And so within this wider landscape, we hope that the badge will do two main things. We want it to encourage the growth of the sustainability-focused business support sector, but we want it to serve the BSOs that are already operating in this space. We want it to be a way for BSOs to develop what they do, but also to showcase what they do. So we hope that these three main objectives here will be fulfilled by the design of the badge. That BSOs will be able to, will be able to develop their existing provision. We hope that in time it might be a tool and a framework to support the transition of the wider sector to encourage BSOs to start their journey towards supporting sustainability. And we hope that it will offer a way to raise the profile of sustainability more widely across the sector, but also externally as well. And then within these three main objectives, we hope that the badge will be able to serve a few more detailed objectives. So just supporting the and promoting the integration of sustainability approaches such as eco-design within business support programs. To support and facilitate the sharing and adoption of sustainable methodologies and tools across the sector, to offer that, that tangible way of doing so. And then as a result of this increased support, we hope that for entrepreneurs, it will increase the sustainable business ideas. And then finally, and I'll touch on this a bit later, we hope that it will be a way for the sector to promote and to attract sustainable investment. So lots of objectives, and we hope that the badge will meet them all. So who's the badge for? To be honest, I feel like I can answer this slide in one word, and that's everybody. We hope the badge will be designed to work with the different kinds of business support organisations out there, incubators, accelerators, universities, chambers of commerce. working with early stage or slightly later stage entrepreneurs and ventures. We hope that it will have that flexibility. And added to that, we hope that the badge will work for BSOs at whatever point they are in their journey towards supporting sustainability. It might be that the BSO is already operating a specific green program supporting eco-innovative entrepreneurs. We hope the badge will offer a way for them to review, to develop, and to share what they're doing in this space already. But we hope it will work for BSOs that are earlier in their journey. Perhaps they're just supporting ventures to think or to operate with a triple bottom line methodology, or perhaps they're only just starting to think about sustainability. And we hope that the badge will work at all levels. So we want this badge to be for everyone, all types of business support organisations operating at the whole spectrum of supporting sustainability. So what are the benefits at the detailed level? So I think when you look at the sector as a whole, you can see the benefits of something like this, of developing the sector, developing provision, transitioning the sector. But we hope that this badge will offer direct benefits to BSOs themselves and to their supported entrepreneurs. So for BSOs, we hope that within this landscape of a developing sector, it will give competitiveness within the changing business support landscape. Potentially the ability to access cross-border projects or funding related to this growing space, and competitiveness amongst potential entrepreneurs as well. We think that it will offer a clear and tangible demonstration of compliance or future focused thinking around current directives or near future directives, agendas, policies related to sustainability as well. And we hope that it will offer a clear and tangible way for BSOs to attract sustainable investors for their supported ventures. For supported entrepreneurs, just picking up that last point, for the entrepreneurs themselves, we hope that it will give them access to that sustainable finance. If the BSO that they are being supported by is accredited and has a badge showing investors that they support sustainability, we hope that it will better enable those entrepreneurs to access sustainable investment. And hopefully it should, for sustainable ventures who want to gain their own accreditation, such as B Corps, they should be more easily able to do so. And then finally, hopefully for supported entrepreneurs, there's a risk reduction element there as well, if they are being supported to reduce business risks created by a lack of sustainability or sustainable approaches and practices. Negative environmental impacts, negative social impacts, or even impacts related to reputation if those risks aren't mitigated. So those are the direct benefits we hope, and alongside the wider benefits to the sector as a whole. So moving on, what is it? What is this badge? So the next couple of slides, I'll just talk us through at this point what we're thinking in terms of an approach and a methodology, and a very top level introduce you to the look and feel of the criteria. The idea behind this badge, and the reason I keep saying badge rather than accreditation or certification, is we think that a network model and a self-improvement approach will work best. So rather than a very formal top-down or accreditation or certification delivered by one authority. We think a network model will work best, based on a community of practice, building on existing networks, and encouraging collective development rather than dictating it. We think that the badge will probably therefore kind of operate in a cascading way through existing networks, most likely starting with organisations that are already working in this space, that want to review and develop their practice, and gradually encouraging and including the wider sector. We want it to be a simple, user-friendly framework. We've all been faced with those tick lists that go on forever and get down to a meaningless level of detail. The idea behind this badge is that it will be clean, it will be well designed, it will be robust, but it will be user-friendly. And that the criteria will work for BSOs to review their practice and be an encouraging and motivating process to go through. And then the idea with this badge is that it will be a gateway to existing support and to the community of badge holders that have been through the process and the idea of the community of practice. We won't develop this support. We will signpost and showcase and link to and host existing support that's out there, whether that's the SwitchMed support, other support across the National Partnerships Network, rather than this being a training or a resources created from scratch. This will be the gateway to what already exists. So what's the process? Quite simply, BSOs will complete an online self-assessment, and that will be a well-designed, hopefully quite slick survey using well-designed criteria to review their existing provision and see to what extent they are committed to sustainability and are delivering sustainability-focused support to their entrepreneurs and ventures. To what extent are they supporting the creation and growth of sustainable ventures? After that online self-assessment and the verification of which we're not sure of yet, whether that's a peer review or something automated or something that's done manually, not sure yet, but BSOs that meet a minimum threshold will join the supporting sustainability network, access the badge, access the branding to show that they have been certified as supporting sustainability. For them, and I think most likely for any BSOs that don't meet the threshold, the self-assessment tool will offer a way to highlight gaps in provision, highlight those areas of development in hopefully a motivating way. BSOs can see what they do and see where in their program they can add more. And then hopefully the platform will provide the routes for them to do that. So links to existing resources, links to existing training. And I think this might be one of the main benefits of this badge, is the community of like-minded BSOs to provide peer support. And that might be through direct exchanges, peer reviews, as I mentioned, or direct contact between BSOs that are working on the same thing, or BSOs that have a particular element of good practice they want to share. Or it might be through non-direct support, so case studies of whole programs or elements of programs that the network can share with each other to provide that community of practice approach. So that's the broad methodology. What will it look like? So what we have on this slide, the penultimate slide, is a very simplified version of what I'm working on at the moment, which are the criteria. So how do you assess how a business support organisation is supporting sustainability? How do you do it in a way that is rigorous but light enough to be appealing to BSOs? And at the moment, this is what I'm drafting, and I very much hope to get input on. So I think there'll be two levels. At the moment, the draft has two levels. The first level is organisation focused criteria. So as a BSO, how are you demonstrating commitment to sustainability? Oh, sorry about that. I've got something pinging on my laptop. Let me see if I can turn that off. Sorry about that. Share my screen again. Okay, that's better. So we think that the criteria will operate at two levels. The first level being the organisational level, the BSO itself demonstrating a commitment to sustainability. So that might be that they have members of staff trained in sustainability approaches. It could be that they have an element related to sustainability within their organisational strategy. So a couple of examples I've just put in there just to illustrate what the more detailed framework looks like. Then at the second level, the criteria would fall into four pillars really. And this second level will look at how a BSO is delivering that commitment to sustainability and trying to answer the question and give BSOs the opportunity to show how they support the creation of sustainable ventures. So how they support the creation of sustainable business models or support existing ventures to include a triple bottom line in existing business models. And that can be via program delivery, so building capacity in developing sustainable business models, or it might be through an element of the program design, such as having a quota for sustainable business ideas in each cohort. Again, just a couple of examples to articulate the look and feel of a more detailed criteria framework. The second column is around product design and development. So here BSOs can show how they build capacity or even build accountability in the design of products and services that are sustainable. The third pillar would be around production, market and growth. So looking at value chains here and how they are socially and environmentally accountable or responsible. Looking at growth and internationalization and how sustainability can be a factor in that. And then the fourth pillar would be around the company. Does the BSO support entrepreneurs and ventures to build companies that are environmentally and or socially responsible in their own practices around employment or even operation of their office. And the idea of having those pillars separately is so that if a business support organisation doesn't operate in one of those spaces, they can omit that from their review. So if they don't work with ventures in their product design and development, then that element's not relevant for them and they don't have to fill it in. But That's a very brief look at the criteria that I'm working on at the moment. What will it look like to the BSO? So looking at our final slide now, they would start with something that might look a little bit like this. The criteria will inform an online self-assessment tool that would be a nicely designed, hopefully dynamic, hopefully a little bit snazzy online self-assessment that is robust but user-friendly and designed with the user in mind. So what I'd like to do now is I would like to get, before we do questions and answers, and I hope that you've got questions for me or comments, but before we do that, I would like us just to take 5 minutes just to fill in some participant survey. And I promise it is 5 minutes. I'm going to share a link in the chat function for you to fill in a very, very brief survey on your initial responses to what I've talked through. And then we'll come back together for a Q&A and any initial thoughts. So I stop sharing my screen and I put in the link to a very brief survey in the chat. Let me know if this doesn't work, but this link in the chat now should take you to a very, very short survey just for me to collect very brief, very top level initial feedback. And what time are we at now? We're at 4 o'clock. So if at 4:05, my time, 5 past the hour, whatever time you're operating on, we reconvene and we take 5-10 minutes of questions and thoughts and answers. That should work well, I think. Please let me know if the link doesn't work for you, and I will see you in 7 minutes. Okay, so we're at 5 past, everyone. I don't know if that was enough time. I'm seeing a few comments on the chat saying done. Great. So let's move to some questions. I'll stop sharing my screen so we can see each other's faces. And then after we've had questions and comments, I'll just outline next steps and what the plan is in terms of development. So I don't know the best way to approach this. I think just a free-for-all. Any questions around the objectives we're trying to achieve with the supporting sustainability badge, the criteria, the planned elements of the badge and the process, anything at all, any clarity that you need or clarification, any thoughts, anything at all, please do jump in. And I'll try to answer. But it might be that it's a question better answered by Giorgio or Andrea. I'm sure between us we can answer any questions. Raina.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jill, and I think very interesting once more. I have one special question about the threshold. Have you in mind one unique one or several thresholds? Because you remember we discussed it. We might not come from the same backgrounds. Clearly, as a foundation in Messina, we are focusing mostly on the social part, and then green is a plus. So our main threshold would probably be on the social aspect, and then clearly looking at the more green impacts. So what do you have in mind? One unique one, or could there be special categories, thresholds, whatever?
I think at the moment, the way the criteria are coming out in the first draft is that the criteria should work equally for social and green. And so there wouldn't be a distinction on that element, but there might be the opportunity, if we thought this would be of benefit, to tier the badge. And at the moment, there seems to be a bit of a natural division coming out between how far a support organisation goes with their support. So are they raising awareness? Are they building capacity? Or are they building accountability for sustainability in their ventures? So there's a potential to maybe tier the badge if we wanted something that could operate in that kind of motivational way to keep going up the tiers. But I think at the moment, the idea would be that there wouldn't be a division between social and green, certainly for this first iteration, trying to keep it quite simple.
I think on the green aspect, on the green, there is more or less the same level of understanding for everyone. On social, our experience, at least my experience, personal experience, it's on social impact, we are not the same. We are coming from different backgrounds and different type of enterprises. We have different values, and clearly that might make some changes and some consideration on it.
Yeah, I think that will be a really interesting benefit of kind of co-designing this together, that different hats from different experts, different BSOs, you can see that with that social lens and think all that criteria just wouldn't quite fit the way it's expressed when I'm thinking about it for social, whereas for someone who's thinking about green business development, it makes more sense. Absolutely. Any more questions? I'm happy also to just take comments. Any thoughts? There's no way I can have been that comprehensive. I'm actually happy to take any comments and questions outside of the webinar as well. If there's something that anyone would like clarification on or has a particular question they want to discuss, I'm happy to do that bilaterally as well. Well, how about I will just talk you through next steps, and then I'll invite.
Oh, sorry, Jill. Giacomo wanted to speak.
Oh, sorry, Giacomo. Go ahead.
Thanks. Just one question concerning the issue about eligibility, accreditation, verification. If I got it right, is still everything has to be defined? And if so, anyway, is there any kind of direction and kind of clue concerning the way you're hoping to implement?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I think the collaboration and co-design element with the users, with BSOs and with partners across the GMED project will inform how we get this right. My sense is that it can't be wholly self-assessed because we want it to be able to offer credibility and have an element of rigor. My sense is that as part of the online self-assessment, there will be a function by which the BSO submits some kind of evidence, whether that's just a description of what they do or some evidence of their program, or potentially randomly selected bits of evidence so that it's time light but rigorous. Potentially a peer review, not sure. But I think there'll be an element of review informing whether the online self-assessment meets the threshold. But exactly what that looks and feels like at the moment, I don't know. To design.
And about the organization, or let's say the entity taking care of the self-assessment tool and the peer review, whatever, also is there any idea on that?
I don't know. I think that might be better for Giorgio. But as far as I'm aware, the online self-assessment will be hosted on a platform. The whole thing will be hosted on a platform, which will need some kind of lead organization to administer it and to manage it. And I presume Giorgio would have more of an idea who exactly would operate that function.
Well, yes, we will. I mean, we will launch the tool as a pilot thanks to GMED, and afterwards we will ensure the continuity of the tool as SCPRAC and see if maybe in the framework of other initiative or other project we can also improve the initial pilot. No? The threshold is really I mean, it's a very tricky question. Maybe you can start with the self-assessment part, no, to see the direction of the content, no, so that we have a better idea of the content, what is useful for the BSOs. Everybody agrees on somehow in the content, and afterwards we can see how we can deal with this issue of the threshold, because it's very complex, no, in terms of what we have to see how. I think in a peer review is the model that we have discussed. No, I think it's the most interesting one, also in terms of building the networks and so on. But it's very challenging. So maybe we can have a step-by-step approach and start with the self-assessment, in which I believe that threshold doesn't make sense, no, because I can do the assessment several times until I get the result that I want. And then we can look for how to continue.
Okay, so to wrap up, and it's particularly because I seem to have, in classic Zoom meetings of these days, got some hammering starting next to me. I'll just share my screen again and just talk you through the next steps. So where we go from here. So the development plan for me is that at the moment I'm designing the first draft criteria, and we'll start to do a UX design of what the process looks like, and and that kind of online self-assessment. We will then build a prototype, and then around March or April, we hope that we will be testing and sharing this across the GMED project and across the national partnerships to get as much feedback as possible. But along all of this process, as I've mentioned, I think it's really important to get as much input as possible from yourselves. So I don't know how Giorgio thinks this best to organise, but anybody who would be interested in reviewing and feeding into each of these steps is a very welcome collaborator. So, you know, reviewing the draft criteria, having a play with the initial prototype and feeding back, and just kind of being slightly ahead and supporting that early development would be much appreciated. So I don't know if, Giorgio, it would be best for people to email you or to let you know, but in the coming weeks, as much feedback as possible from the community will make something that's more and more user-friendly, I think.
Maybe it's maybe it might be useful to get, you know, as I told you, we are certainly interested in following step by step the design, but maybe sharing from time to time questions which are open-minded, and, you know, where you find yourself and saying, okay, there I have question, I'm not totally sure about my direction, and sharing that in a group, where we can manage a group together so that we can fit in whenever it's useful.
Yeah, thank you, Jill. Thank you, Rainer. Well, of course, today the main objective was to collect feedbacks from the business organization of the national partnership and so on. But apparently, also it's very difficult. No, maybe also a lot of our friends may not feel totally comfortable in English. No, I see that there are a lot of partners from Maghreb countries. So we have maybe to see, Jill, how we collect the feedbacks afterwards and decide which is the best way. Maybe we will contact them bilaterally and try to have some more insight and some more comments. But definitely we need this feedback, no, because this is the most important thing, no, in order to ensure that the final result is useful and help us to improve our work. We have to ensure the involvement of the maximum amount of BSOs in shaping the initiative. So we will see how we do it. Jill, we can define with you which is the best way to do it. If you also do an additional survey or contact some BSOs bilaterally, directly, or we will see.
And I'm just getting a few comments through on the chat for people saying that they would be interested in supporting the development. So that's absolutely great. If you just wanted to put a comment in the chat, so that's done, that would be great, or have a think about it and see if you've got a very slight little bit of capacity to feed in. So from my side, thank you so much for giving me the time, and thank you so much for the survey responses. And as I said, and as Giorgio said, if you want anything explained or got any questions that you'd like to connect bilaterally, we can connect through Giorgio. And as I just mentioned, just put a comment in the chat or contact Giorgio if you would like to feed into the development process. And I think, Rainer, a kind of working group idea is really nice.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jill, for the excellent presentation. Of course, it's a very complex topic also, no? For the ones that didn't know it beforehand. Rainer and Giacomo are already experts on the batch, so they can easily provide feedback. Unfortunately, for the rest of us, it was a little bit more difficult, but anyhow, I think it's a very good starting point. And we will share also the presentation. There will be a video of the webinar so that other BSO can also have a look. And we will come back to everybody to see how we can collect more feedbacks and have some involvement of all the BSOs in the process. For us, it's yeah. Sorry, Rainer.
Yeah. No, I would just wanted to underline that I like the journey we did from a standard to a batch. I think it's a fundamental step, and I think I feel very comfortable with that direction. Now we need to go more in the detail. Clearly, that's important, and understand if we go for something which is really covering the whole BSO wider field, or if you go more on specific issues. But that's, I think, the next steps.
Great. So unless somebody changes mind and you have some more feedbacks or comments, we can close the session, and we look forward to receive additional comments, and we keep in touch, letting you know how everything is evolving. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much, Gilles, and see you soon. Have a good afternoon. Bye bye.
Ciao. See you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Are you collecting the emails? No, the people are writing in.
Yeah,
Julia,
just because
you can stop the registration, the recording.